Hey, what's up guys? Anderson here, bringing you a 2v2 replay commentary on Numazawa. You can see it's a 2v2 and my partner is Vizero. We're playing Hunter Whittlebear and Hunter Terror. Now, right before the match, we were deciding, how to deploy our forces. And we couldn't decide whether I was going to deploy on this side of my box and push towards this side with Vizero, or split our forces and march down both sides of the river, because I had a pretty strong assumption that our opponents would deploy to this side and push towards this hill to camp together. And even though we split our forces, that's what they ended up doing. Wasn't a huge problem to deal with though. Now for my army composition, I have 3 bow warrior monks, I have 3 Yari Ashigaru, 2 Great Guard, Matchlock warrior monk, and 5 katana samurai. 3 of these guys are vanilla, and then I have one veteran. He has 1 attack point upgrade, and pretty decent veteran with 2 attack points, and I believe 1 melee defense upgrade. And if you look at Vizero's army, he's got 3 Yari Cav, he's got 3 bow warrior monks, Matchlock warrior monk, 4 Yari Ashigaru, and 4 lone swords. So his composition isn't too much unlike mine, except he has 4 pretty well veteran lone swords. Now, I'm wondering, where the hell is your money, Vizero? Your composition is almost the exact same as mine, except for I have 5 katana samurai and you have 4 lone swords, and I have better cav. Anyways, so like I predicted, my opponent did deploy to this side of the field to push up on the hill with his teammate. So I decided to go ahead and cross the land bridge. Now, I don't really mind crossing the land bridge. You have a pretty secure flank, with just this river over here, and the only access you would have besides coming from my rear would be this other land bridge. So what I'm going to do is, while my army's deploying over here, I'm going to go ahead and send my Great Guard down here to scan this area for cav and hidden units. So here you can see, they did exactly like I predicted. They moved towards the hill. Now, for some reason, there's this guy Whittlebear. His teammate decided to move over to this forest over here and try to deploy under this tree cover, which was a pretty bad idea because he split up his forces. And if you look at this guy's build, I believe he has 3 bow warrior monks, and none of them have 200 range. He also has a Daikyu samurai, which does not have 200 range as well. Oh, it's somewhere in this mix. But he also has some Matchlock warrior monks, 2 units. And this guy deployed a unit of Matchlock warrior monks and a unit of heavy gunners. As well, he has some Ashigaru and of course some lone swords. As well, he has some light cav, and I believe he has 2 Great Guard hidden back here. But I pretty much destroy him on the cav battle with just my 2 Great Guard. And you will see why. But General's already dismounted, so you can tell he's a leadership general. Gonna go to stand and fight. He's just looking at his general. He looks like one of those green little plastic army men. I used to love those toys. But see Vizero, he's got 2 of his Yari Cav over here just scanning through this forest, kind of hidden. And last second I tell him, yo dude, you're about to hit some spears. But you can see I have my Great Guard now scanning back here. Luckily he didn't have any units hidden, so I felt pretty secure, deploying out in this open area. And besides, he can't really use this tree cover, because you can see right here, you don't really get any tree cover until you push back here. And, there isn't a lot of room to deploy a whole unit in back here. So I decided to go ahead and put my Yari Ashigaru spear wall meat shield up front, and then go ahead and deploy my bow warrior monks. And it's at this point we decide, this guy is pretty much distracted over here. Let's just go ahead and tag Team Green over here with our 6 bow warrior monks. And you can see I got my cav back here. Trying to, where's my, okay, there he is. Finally got my Matchlock warrior monk. I had him hidden and separated from the rest of my army, so I had to catch him up with the rest of my component. But over here, I was hoping to entice him a little bit and fire a few shots and hopefully get him to target me and move his bow warrior monks a little more forward, but he doesn't do that, so I actually have to manually target him. And here we get into the cav engagement. So, last minute response, and I won the charge bonus. Took him down to 34 out of 60 units. And I went ahead and hit him here as well. Now what I'm going to do last second right before this unit hits is do a counter charge. So you can see I just barely counter charge in time, and I win that charge as well. So that's a pretty good display of the jacked up cav charging mechanics. Even though your opponent may have more speed and better terrain, it's not too hard. And I'm going to do the same thing with this light cav too. Right as this light cav starts to come in and charge, I'm just going to double click and counter charge. Even though I'm already mixed up in melee, it doesn't take much for me to counter charge this unit as well. So, you know, when I'm talking about cav charge mechanics need to be fixed, that's exactly what I'm talking about. A unit that's already in melee should not be able to counter charge at the last second and win the charge against, you know, a fresh cav unit coming in that has full speed and everything else. That's just absolutely ridiculous. Alright, so here you can see we decided to go ahead and push all of our bow warrior monks up and start engaging this guy. Done a pretty good number on what he has deployed right now. And for some reason, I'm not sure why, I can't remember if he said so in the chat or why not, but Vizero went ahead and sent this Yari cav over here to suicide against this guy's spears. And then the rest of his cav is not doing too well fighting these katana cav. And he's got his Daikyu Samurai all the way down here for some reason. It's pretty funny. Yeah, I don't really like those Daikyu Samurai either. I have not found them to be anywhere near as effective as bow warrior monks, even with 200 range. So here you can see we're actually tag teaming, and Vizero decides to go ahead and start hitting this guy's matchlocks as well, which he does not really like. As soon as Vizero starts targeting these matchlocks and these heavy gunners, he starts running them back. And I'm focused on taking out his bow warrior monks. So you can see my bow warrior monks are still in pretty good shape. This unit's got 42 out of 75. This one's at 51, and this one's at 74. And Vizero's taking like no damage to his. So we pretty much massacred him just with our bow warrior monks. And he went ahead and pushed back his matchlocks, but he didn't push him back far enough because Vizero is still targeting these guys. You can see he's going to get off a pretty good volley. Just one volley from his bows. Right there. Bam. 48 out of 60. Homeboy does not like that and starts running back his matchlocks as fast as possible. I mean, you spend all that money on a unit like heavy gunners, you really don't want to lose them early on to archers. You see over here I had to run my Great Guard just to get him away from this light cav. He has one more unit of light cav left, which could have probably destroyed my single Great Guard with only 13 left. But I see a pretty good opportunity to go over here and get a sneak attack on some of his bows. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. Check out this beautiful charge. Bam! Look at that guy flying. Oh, it hurts so bad. I want my mommy. So, not really a huge hit on this guy's army, but you always got to get in those sneak attacks when you can. Still got 13 out of 60 units. Not too shabby. So now this guy is trying to deploy on Vizero's left flank. And, you know, his bow units are just not going to cut it. They have no upgrades, well, barely any as it is. And he's going to try to rush his matchlocks up here, which, you know, they don't take long to burn down. He's just going to target them with his bow warrior monks. Meanwhile, I've got mine deploying over here to try to take down what's left of this guy's matchlocks. So because he did deploy his heavy gunners back here behind his main lines, he's going to do a lot of friendly fire damage to his own troops, you know, before my katana Sams even get up here. He just did not have good terrain when he actually deployed these heavy gunners. So he's rushing up his spears and his matchlocks. I went ahead and threw some of my Yari Ashigaru up here in spear wall. And I've still got my bows. I'm not going to move them back just yet. I'm just going to try to target these matchlocks and do as much damage as possible. And then I'm going to go ahead and rush my samurais up. Now I didn't even need to use rally for this fight, which is pretty funny. And you can see on Vizero's side of the fight over here as well. He's got his other Yari Ashigaru up here just engaged with them, holding up his army while he prepares the rest of his units. And he's just sending a spear wall at a time just to block these guys and distract them, which is a pretty good strategy. And here you can see I finally got my katanas engaged. And he's just sitting here shooting through his own men with his heavy gunners. I've got my bows targeting his matchlocks. So, you know, they aren't really doing effectively too much damage. And then he decides to throw his general and stand and fight, you know, right here directly in front of my matchlocks. So I go ahead and use my matchlocks just to take out his general pretty quick. And he's doing a pretty good job of friendly fire on his own general as well with these heavy gunners. But you can see I broke through his melee lines, and I now have my katana samurai engaging his matchlocks. His general's gone, and he's about ready to rout. On Vizoro's side, you know, he did a pretty good job of holding him up over here. He's just sending all these Yari Ashigaros up one at a time to block him before he commits his lone swords. You can see he's actually committing his lone swords now. These guys are going to be so tired by the time his lone swords get up there, they really don't stand a chance. So that's a pretty good strategy on Vizoro's side. You know, if your opponent tries to pull some BS like that on you, you just have to learn how to outmaneuver those Yaris and get around them so your units don't waste all their energy fighting a single Yari Ashigaru. Here you can see his lone sword is just going to break through and tear up what's left of this. I still have this one Great Guard as well with 13 out of 60 units, so I'm going to bring it in to help him out a little bit. But only so much you can do with only 13 units. And that is pretty much the battle. I didn't save the results screen, but we pretty much dominated. And our bow warrior monks definitely got the most kills. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. Take it easy, and I'll see you next time.
My lord, a glorious victory will soon be yours.